tonight, we are so blessed, no, to have once again, no, isa sa mga paborito nating speaker, no, lagi napaka galing po kasi ng ng mga biyaya na ipinagkaloob sa kanya ng Panginoon, no. So sila pong mag-asawa ay nag-graduate po ng CLP o Christian Life Program na tinawag po natin later on na Christian Life Seminar noong 2005. At sila po sa kasalukuyan ay household servants sa Unit 2, no? Sa sa pamamatnugot po ni Brother Vener at Sister Mary Gayeta, no? Ang talk niya po ay tungkol po sa role ng Christian husband. Ngayong gabi, mga husband, mga brothers, makinig po tayo at may bibigay pong tips sa atin ng ating speaker, no? Ito po ang ating pinakamamahal. Pinakamamahal, no? Brother Paeng, Peñafiel. Magandang gabi po, Brother Paeng.
Yes, magandang gabi po. Eto na naman tayo. Nagkasama na naman tayo. The last time we were together was when we conducted the Covenant Recollection, maybe 2 months ago. So una po sa lahat, nais ko po magpasalamat sa Panginoon Diyos sa opportunity na binigyan niya para kaming mag-asawa, Sister Lynn, ay maging part ng MER 1 or Marriage Enrichment Retreat Part 1. Pangalawa, sa amin po mga leaders sa NCR East 3, maraming salamat po sa tiwala ninyo. Now, bago ko po umpisan ang talk, please allow me to share with you our journey. In a nutshell lang po. Hindi naman matagal. Nutshell lang po. Journey namin mag-asawa. In the first place, relevant naman po sa topic natin yung pagiging mag-asawa, relasyon ng mag-asawa. Ito po kami dati. Nakikita mo po sa picture sa left, katulad po ng sinabi ko nung 2 months ago, kami po mag-asawa, Sister Lynn, ay classmates nung grade 5 at saka grade 6. So, ipagyayabang ko po sa inyo, grade 5 pa lang, nasilayan ko na po ang muka ng aking magiging asawa. Sister Lynn nga po. Grade 5 po yan. Ito pong picture na to, graduation namin nung grade 6. And then, ito po naman sa kanan, picture po namin when we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. So, noon at saka nung 2012. Ito, kayo po ba ay familiar sa picture na to? Yes? Ito po ay sine, di ba? Alone, together. Sino yung nasa kanan? Si Enrique Hill. Yung nasa kaliwa. Sino po sila? Siya. Si Liza Soberano. Gusto ko pong sabihin sa inyo na hindi sila original dyan. Marami pong nauna sa kanila na umupo sa bench na yan. At kami po ni Sister Lynn, ang misis ko, ang isa sa mga unang couples na umupo sa bench na yan. Nung pong sinagot niya ako, way back in 1979, dito po sa Sunken Garden, sa Diliman. Ito po yon. That was February 6, 1979, a Tuesday, at around 8:45 in the evening. So yun po. Napakasaya ko po nung gabi na yan. Ito po naman yung aking ligay sa kanya bago niya ako sagutin. Ito po yung isa sa mga favorite songs namin. Ang title po nito, You Needed Me. Kasi nung araw po, nung araw, lettering was still a freehand drawing. Ginagawa mo lang yan eh. Ngayon kasi, ang dami na sa computer. Pwede kang gumawa ng maglikha ng poem o magsulat ng letter sa mahal mo using the software. PowerPoint, Word, dami-dami. Ito po, pagandahan tayo ng sulat, freehand drawing nga. So, ito po, nung February 6, the day na sinagot ako ng misis ko, ayun, ito po, nasa baba po yung February 6, 1979. Kung papasel po kayo sa bahay, napakarami naming memorabilia. Ang dami po. Mga nobela, palitan namin ng sulat na mag-asawa. From like 1979 hanggang kami ay kinasal noong 1986. At eto na po kami ngayon, ang Pasko, with our kids. Meron po kaming 3 anak. Lahat po ay may trabaho na, all grown-ups may trabaho na. At masaya po naman kami as a family. So we are living a Christian life. We are happy with what we are. So sana po tuloy-tuloy ito. At kami po ay ipapasalamat sa Diyos sa biyayang binibigay niya sa amin. Ayun po, yun po ang aming kwento. So, kung ang reckoning po natin ay nung kinasal kami, 1986, so 34 years na po kaming married. Pero kung ang reckoning naman ay sabihin natin, nung sinagot niya ako, nung 1979, around 42 years na kami. Pero kung ibabalik natin, nung grade 5 kami, this year, 50 years na po kami. 5-0. Pero mga bata po kami. Ayun po. Now, let's start the ball rolling. Ito po yung aking talk outline. So, yung pong talk ko ngayong gabi ay merong 5 parts. First, introduction. Sa introduction po, itatackle ko ang responsibility at accountability. And then, followed by husband's role according to the Bible. And then, being head of the family, husband's responsibility. Followed by part 4, various sources of support and strength for the heavy responsibility. And finally, the conclusion. So, bilis-bilisan na po natin. Introduction. So, to grow as part of the pastoral team for our family, we must understand more clearly our role as a husband. We need to understand our responsibility. Our understanding of responsibility is one-sided. In other words, we equate it with having a position in which we have authority and we manage or direct things. In the corporate world, management means getting things done through people. Getting things done through people. And to review, what are the functions of management? Okay, ano po ito? Planning, followed by organizing, then staffing, then directing, or influencing, and finally, controlling. So there are 5 basic functions of management. Ito pong lahat ng ito ay ginagawa ng mga leaders natin. From the top, kay Servant General, pababa, papunta kay Brother Reg, di ba? Lahat yan ginagawa eh. Ginagawa ng ating mga leaders. They plan, they organize, they staff, they direct, they control. Ilan po yan. And then, responsibility involves the above. But there is another side that is sometimes ignored. Ano po yung kinakalimutan? Ito po yung kinakalimutan, accountability. The other side of responsibility is accountability. Let me read Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. Do this so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no benefit to you. Thus, there are two parts of responsibility. Not only do we men have God's authority to get things done, but we will be held accountable for what we have been given to do. So yung po, accountability at saka responsibility. Siguro po naman, kilala niyo yung good Mayor Magalong? Si Mayor Magalong, yung magaling na mayor ng Baguio. Just early this year, siya po ay nag-resign bilang contact tracing SAR ng IATF. Ang sabi niya, accountability is very important to him, so he resigned. Ang sabi nga ni President Harry Truman, the buck stops here. Yun yung famous line ni Truman noong panahon ng gera, ng Second World War. So, yun po, napakagaling na mayor. Nag-resign siya kasi accountable siya. Pero kung iisipin po natin, si Mayor Magalong at iba pang mga managers, meron silang fallback. Di ba? Nag-resign siya. In fact, hindi nga tinanggap ni President Digong, di ba? Pero nag-resign siya, he can always go back to being a mayor. So merong fallback. May tanong pa ako sa inyo. What if we are held accountable by God? Paano yon? Paano kung serious o mortal sin ang ating accountability? At hindi tayo nakasik ng absolution o forgiveness. Saan tayo pupulutin? Saan tayo pupunta? Ito po, tingnan natin ang parable of the bags of gold or talents. Napakaliit po nito. Ipaparaphrase ko na lang po. Mahirap basahin, paparaphrase ko na lang in Taglish. Noong panahong iyon, may isang amo or master na mag-i-embark sa long journey. The parable of the bags of gold or talents. By the way po, ito po yung sa chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. Yung po palang talent o yung bags of gold sa ibang version, ang tawag po dito ay, siyempre, talent. The parable of the minas. Ano po yung talent? Yung talent po ay unit of currency nung araw. Pera po siya nung araw. About 60 minas. Tapos po, sa pag-analyze ng verses na to, yung pong talent ay inahahalin tulad din sa God-given talents natin. Pagsayaw, pag-awit, ayun, pag-drawing. So, yun po ang definisyon ng talent. So again, nung araw po, let me paraphrase this parable. Nung araw, may isang master na pupunta sa malayong paglalakbay. So tinawag niya yung kanyang 3 servants. Ang sabi niya sa 3 servants, okay, aalis ako ng matagal at ipapamahala ko sa inyo ang aking kayamanan. So, according to their ability, siyempre, mayroong magaling-galing, at saka medyo mahina. So, yung isang pinakamagaling, binigay niya ay 5 bags of gold, 5 bags. Sa pangalawa, binigay niya 2 bags of gold. Doon sa huli, isang bag. And then, umalis na yung master. Then, lumipas ang panahon, bumalik siya ngayon. So, in-account niya ngayon yung pinagkatiwala niyang kayamanan sa kanyang mga alalay. Sa una, ikaw, anong nangyari sa binigay ko sa iyo na 5 bags of gold. Ay, Master, yung pong 5 bags na binigay niyo sa akin, dinoble ko po. Naging 10 na po yan. Ay, ang sabi ni Master, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. Come and share your master's happiness. So natuwa siya kasi dumoble. Sa pangalawa naman, ikaw, ano nangyari sa 2 bags of gold na binigay ko sa iyo? Ang sagot ng alalay, ay ito po, yung pong 2 bags naging 4 po. So dumoble din po. Ayun, natuwa na naman yung master. Master, well done, good and faithful servant. Ayun. You have been faithful with a few things. Come and share your master's happiness. And then, dumating na yung turn ng pangatlo, in-account ng master. Ikaw, ano nangyari dun sa isang bag na binigay ko sa iyo? Sabi niya, ay bossing, master, binaon ko po eh. Binaon ko. Yung isang bag of gold, binaon pa niya. So ano nangyari? Ay hukayin ko po. Nagalit yung master. Sabi niya, you wicked, lazy servant. You wicked, lazy servant. Nagalit si master. Sana man lang, yung perang yun, anong ginawa nyo? Sana man lang, nilagay mo sa bangko, tumubo sana yung pera, yung bags of gold, yung bag of gold. So yun, nagalit si master. Basahin po natin yung last paragraph. Sabi ni master, ano? So, take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. So yung pong isang bag kinuha, ibibigay daw dun sa pinakamagaling. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Ito po, weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, saan pupulutin yung lazy servant? Alam na natin yon. Ay, grabe po, ano? So, ayun. Nakakatakot pala ang consequence kapag na-mismanage natin yung treatise. Ano po yung treatise? Time, treasure, at saka talent. This fact kasi reinforces the principle of stewardship. As believers, we are all given resources according to our skills and abilities. But those resources ultimately belong to God. We will eventually answer for how we invest or do with them. So yun po yung parable of the bags of gold. Number 2, what does the Bible say about the husband's role? As a general principle, men are supposed to be responsible for the people of God. Men take the leadership. Women also take responsibility, but in a different way. So yung pong responsibility ng mga babae ay i-expound ng Mrs. ko, si Sister Lynn, sa Webes. Sana po maka-attend din kayo. And what are these areas of responsibility? Ano po yung mga areas? Number 1, governance of the people as a whole. So, unang responsibility ng mga lalaki, governance of the people as a whole. At this point po, may I request our brother, si Brother Alvin po, to read 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. Ito po yung qualifications for overseers and deacons. Brother Alvin, are you there?
Opo.
Ayun.
Ito po.
Pakibasa po yung 1 Timothy.
Good evening po sa lahat. So ito po yung 1 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 to 7. Qualifications for overseers and deacons. Whoever aspires to be an overseer desires a noble task. Now, the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him. And he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. If anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap.
Ayun. Thank you, Brother Alvin. Yung po yung laman ng 1 Timothy chapter 3 verses 1 to 7. So, this describes the qualities of a bishop, who is a man appointed to care for the church of God. Naku pwede rin pala tayong maging bishop. We just have to follow the qualifications mentioned in the 1 Timothy chapter 3. Na medyo stringent po, medyo strict. Kaya mga mister, i-memorize na po natin to. Grabe po, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, etc., etc., etc. Paki-memorize na lang po natin. And then, Exodus chapter 3, verse 16 says, "Go, assemble the elders of Israel, and say to them, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I have watched over you and have seen what has been done to you in Egypt." So, the leaders to be obeyed were men. The elders of the Israelites were usually older men who acted as representatives of the people. Ang susunod naman po na area of responsibility ay leadership in worship. Sabi po sa 1 Timothy 2:8, "Therefore, I want the men everywhere to pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or disputing." Sa 2 Chronicles chapter 5 po naman, when all the work Solomon had done for the temple of the Lord was finished, he brought in the things his father David had dedicated, the silver and gold and all the furnishings, and he placed them in the treasuries of God's temple. The dedication of the temple of Solomon was led by the elders, leaders of tribes, princes or mga prinsipe of ancestral homes and priests, all of whom were men, mga lalaki po. So, mga lalaki po talaga ang leaders. Throughout the Old Testament, women were active in the religious life of Israel, but generally, they were not leaders. Ito nga po no queen, walang reyna ever ruled Israel. Yung po ang aabot sa aking pagkakaalam, walang reyna na nagreyna sa Israel. Wala rin po, please check me if I'm wrong, wala din pong babae na nagsulat ng any chapter sa Old Testament at sa New Testament. Number 3 area, providing protection. So, basahin po natin ang sinusulat ng Acts 20 at James 5. Gusto ko pang imbitahan si Brother Don para basahin ang dalawang passages na to. Brother Don.
Yes, Brother Paeng. Brother Paeng.
Yes, again start now, brother.
20, verse 28 to 31. Keep watch over yourself and all the flock of which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers. Be shepherds of the church of God, which he bought with his own blood. I know that after I leave, savage wolves will come in among you and will not spare the flock. Even from your own number, men will arise and distort the truth in order to draw away disciples after them. So be on your guard. Remember that for 3 years I never stopped warning each of you night and day with tears. And also James 5, verse 14. Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord.
Ayun po, maraming salamat, Brother Don. Sa Acts 20 po, Paul instructs the presbyters to watch over the flock against savage wolves. Yung po nga palang presbyters ay elder or minister of the Christian church. Presbyters. And then sa James naman po, the presbyters pray for healing. Ayun. Sa James 5:14. Kaapat na area po ay being head of the family. Ito po yung, I think, one of the most important areas. Being head of the family. Ayun, ito pong Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22-25, ay babasahin sa atin ni Brother Jerby. Andiyan ka ba? Are you there? Are you ready to read this?
Okay po.
Ayan, ganda mo ng basa. Ito yung pinakamaganda. Pinakamagandang commandment sa atin. Pinakamagandang sinabi ng Diyos para sa pagsasama. Sa magandang pagsasama ng mag-asawa. Take it away, brother. Thank you.
Good evening po. Number 4, being a head of the family. Ephesians verse 5, 22 to 25. Wives, submit yourself to your own husband, as you to do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submit to the Christ, so also wives should submit their husband in everything. Husband, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Thank you po.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Brother Jerby. So, ito po namang Ephesians 5, 22 to 25 ay tinake up natin nung nakaraang covenant recollection, di po ba? At nalaman po natin na the Christian family is at the very center of God's plan. And we need to strengthen the family. As the basic unit of society, the condition of the families will determine the condition of societies. Ayun po. So ito po yung instruction sa atin ng Diyos. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 to 25. Ayan. Being head of the family. Let us now focus on the fourth area, being head of the family. Kasi po, ito yung pinaka-importante. Husband's responsibility. We need to understand more the importance of the family and our responsibility to see that it is what God intends. Ang sabi po sa Joshua chapter 24, verse 14, "Now, fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshipped beyond Euphrates River and in Egypt and serve the Lord." Ayun po, ang Joshua 24. Further, we have to raise our children in the Lord. At ano po ang areas where husbands or where the husband needs to actively lead the family? Una-una sa asawa po, the wife. Ano po ang ating responsibility sa wife? Una-una, make sure that her basic personal needs are met. Material, physical, emotional. Kasama na rin po dito ang other physiological needs like sex, rest, pahinga, sleep, shelter, at saka pagkain. Dalawa po, help her in her spiritual growth. Spiritual life, prayer, also schedule time with God, children, of course, free time. Sa punto pong ito, medyo passive ako. Aminin ko sa inyo, bakit po passive? Kasi, in my case, sa regular rosary time namin, ang misis ko po ang proactive. Siya yung nangungulit sa akin. At hindi niyo po napansin, sa Black Rosary, sino ba ang sumasama? Sa Black Rosary, di po ba mga babae lang? Siguro more than 99%, 95% mga babae ang nag-Black Rosary. Yung mangilan-ngilan lalaki, taga-buhat ni Mama Mary kasi mabigat yung santo. So, ito po ay malaking challenge sa ating mga lalaki na i-involve natin ang ating sarili sa praying of the Holy Rosary. Pero sa mga discussions po naman namin sa ibang aspeto like Bible sharing and other religious discussions, I take the lead naman po sa aming mag-asawa. Yun po. Next area, help her maintain a proper perspective for herself, for her family, and for her life in MFC. Well, mga mister, brothers, tulungan po natin ang ating asawa na malaman, gampanan, at appreciate po natin ang proper role nila bilang suitable partner natin or a helpmate sa family at MFC matters. Ang role po ng mga babae ay tatalakayin ni Sis Lynn, ang misis ko, sa Webes. I-expand po niya ito. Susunod po, make sure of adequate communication. Napaka-importante po niyan. Many issues among family members arise because of miscommunication. Coming together to talk about a particular problem can open the lines of communication so we can find solutions to what is negatively affecting husband and wife or parents and children. At sabi nga po ni Stephen Covey, ang sabi niya, tandaan po natin ito ay sign din ng humility. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Makinig muna tayo, pakinggan natin yung kabilang panig, saka tayo magsalita. Isa po yun sa magandang or one of the 7 habits that Stephen Covey used to teach when he was still alive. Next po, make sure she has sufficient and good relationships with other persons, particularly with sisters in MFC. Napakaswerte pa naman natin ngayon kasi meron tayong technology ng social media. Si Sislyn po, yung misis ko, ay nakikinig sa lectures regularly tungkol sa Bible na galing kina Sister Mary at Sis Chit at iba pang mga kasama namin sa lower household. Yun po. Also, sa amin pong lower household, mostly mga young couples po ang kasama namin. Grateful po kami sa kanila dahil tinuturing nila kami na second parents kami po. At iba naman, yan si Brother Jerby, ang tingin niya sa amin ay nakakatandang kapatid. So, masayang-masaya po kami ron at napakaganda ng relasyon namin sa isa't isa, particularly yung relasyon ng misis ko sa mga sisters. Yun po. Sayang nga lang po, ngayon kasi napaka-KJ ng COVID, ng pandemic, kasi ang dami namin plano di ba? Ang plano namin, sana, kung walang COVID, manood ng sine. Together. Yun po mag-outing, mag-picnic, para pang Sisters Day Out. Yun sana kaso, hindi bale, malapit na magkabakuna. So, lahat ng planong ito, lahat ng fellowship activities ay pwedeng matuloy. Hintayin natin po yung bakuna. Children, tapos na po tayo sa wife, sa asawa. Ano po ang sinasabi tungkol sa mga anak natin? Take leadership and responsibility in teaching them about the Lord. Do not leave this to the church, school, or MFC. Tayo po ang mag-lead sa kanila. Tayo po ang mag-take ng responsibility. At sabi po sa Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. So yun, wag nating asaring mabuti, wag nating pagalitan. Baka manawa, baka magalit. Ayun po. So iyan po, klarong-klaro po yan. No? I think this line ay napag-aralan din natin sa covenant recollection. Sometimes po, we have to swallow our pride. Iswallow natin ang ating pride. Hindi naman po tayo tataba kung paminsan-minsan ay lunukin natin ang ating pride. Kung minsan ay galit na tayo, medyo kalmahin natin ang ating sarili. Pero kung masyadong malaki po ang kasalanan, kailangan natin gumawa ng drastic action. Sasabihin ko po sa inyo mamaya kung bakit. But we really have to strike a balance. Next, take the leadership in training your sons in manly Christian character. If not, other forces beyond your control will. Ayun. Tatay sa anak na lalaki. Kasi mas maunawaan po natin sila dahil kapwa tayo lalaki. And then, take leadership in discipline children, just like God. At saka tandaan po natin, ang mga anak po natin, kapag pinalaki natin sa Diyos, at syempre meron silang tamang values, kahit pakawalan natin sila sa mundo, di sila kayang tibagin ng kabilang puwersa. Tandaan po natin na the closer we walk with God, the less room for anything evil to come in between. dumikit po tayo sa Panginoon Diyos para hindi makasingit yung evil spirit. Yun po yun. At this point po, I would like to invite Sis Che to read Hebrews chapter 12, verses 5 to 8. Sis Che, andyan ka ba? O si brother?
Hello
Hello?
po, good evening. Proxy
Ayan.
po ni Michael, nasa work po kasi.
Okay.
Basahin ko po.
Yes, yes,
Hebrews
sister.
chapter 12, verses 5 to 8. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, "My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chases everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline, as disciple. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, then everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all."
Ayun. Thank you, Sister Che. Kaya ko kakantahin mo eh.
Hindi pa mahirap.
Ayun. Klarong-klaro po yun, yung Hebrews chapter 12. Klarong-klaro yan. I-discipline natin ang ating mga anak. And finally, God will hold us responsible. Kapag hindi natin dinisiplin ang anak natin, God will hold us responsible. Let me elaborate on this. Kilala niyo po si Eli? Si Eli po sa Book of Samuel. Eli was, according to the books of Samuel, a high priest of Shiloh. Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were scoundrels. Yung pong, may dalawang anak po si Eli o si Eli. Si Hophni at saka si Phinehas. They were scoundrels. Ano po ba scoundrels? Rascal, disreputable. Sa Tagalog, pasaway. Mga salbahe po yung dalawang anak ni Eli. Salbahe. They were behaving wickedly, for example, by taking for themselves all the prime cuts of meat from sacrifices. So, kinukuha po nila yung mga sacrifices, yung mga karne, kinukuha nila. And then, they commit adultery with the women who served at the sanctuary entrance. So, nangangalunya pa sila. Alam po ni Eli ang behavior ng kanyang dalawang anak. Alam niya na merong disregard sa Lord dahil dun sa sacrifices, kinukuha nila. Tapos, nangangalunya pa dun sa mga babae. Alam niya, pero he rebuked them too lightly. Konti lang po. And ultimately, did not stop them. Wala, ganun-ganun lang. Wala lang. Napakalight ng kanyang galit dun sa mga anak. Eh syempre, yung mga anak naman, dahil hindi pinagsasabihan ng ama, eh diretso sa kanilang gawi. Biro mo, di na nila ginalang ang mga offerings, eh nangalunya pa. So, the son continued in their sinful behavior. And a man of God prophesied to Eli that Eli and his family would be punished for this, with all male descendants dying before reaching old age. Yun. True enough, sa gera po ng mga Israelis at saka mga Philistines, mga Israelites at itong mga Palestino, ayun, matagal na po ang gera nila. More than 3,000 years na, nagigera pa sila. Hanggang ngayon po, di ba? So, sa gera pong yun, natalo po yung Israelites, natalo sila. Tapos, namatayan po sila ng 30,000 men, 30,000 foot soldiers, ang nawala sa kanila. And to top it all, yung pong Ark of Covenant, Ark of God, familiar? Yung pong Ark of Covenant, yung Ark of God, sa sini ni, di ba? Sa sini ni, ano ba to? Yung kay, sa Ten Commandments, yung merong Ark of Covenant doon na naglalaman po sila ng tablets ng Ten Commandments at saka yung baston ni Aaron. Si Aaron po yung kapatid ni Moses. Yun po yung laman nun, among other things. So, nakuha po yun. Namatayan silang 30,000 soldiers at saka nakuha pa yung Ark of Covenant. At namatay po sa gera ang dalawang anak ni Eli. Yun po. So yun ang nangyari. And then, nang mabalitaan ni Eli ang dalawang pangyayari, una, ang pagkamatay ng kanyang dalawang anak at pagkawala ng Ark of the Covenant, nabigla po siya, natumba at nabalian ng liig. So patutuo po ito na God will hold us responsible. Yun po yung nangyari kay Eli, yung kwento ni Eli, more than 3,000 years ago. Pangatlong area po, family, life, and home. Ano po ang sinasabi dito? Set the emotional tone for the home. Not leave this to the wife. Yon. Set the emotional tone for the home. Do not leave this to the wife. So tayo po ang leader din dito. When adults practice skills to keep their calm, their poise or bearing in situations that may be tense or potential time bombs, children are provided with an example to follow and can begin learning the skills of emotional regulation. Next, oversee the family schedule. Oversee the family schedule. Katulad po ng sinabi ni Brother Ed Paalam, kung naka-attend po kayo ng Baguio Weekend. Yung Baguio Weekend po, yung World Couple Congress. So, sina Brother Ed Paalam po, meron po silang regular meetings, meals among family members. Nakabibilib po si Brother Ed. He's one of a kind. Gayahin po natin to. Lahat po siya may schedule. Schedule ng kain, parang na din natandaan ko, weekly, meron silang conference ng kanyang mga anak. Kung may problema, pinapag-usapan, kasama yung wife niya. So, gayahin po natin ang ginagawa ni Brother Ed Paalam. And then, decide what the family members of the family can or cannot do. Yun po. Well, Christian love is not always saying yes. As parents, managers, we are also limit setters. Hindi po naman na dahil mahal natin ang ating mga anak, lahat ng hilingin nila, bibigay na natin. Hindi po pwede yan. Kailangan, we have to exercise our function as limit setters. Pag hindi pwede, hindi pwede. Baka ikasama nila yung pagpayag natin sa kanilang lahat ng kahilingan. Next po, teach and lead the family into living the covenant of MFC and its patterns of relationships. So ito po, review lang. Ano po ba yung ating covenant? 4 po yan. Being follower of Christ, building a strong family, being active member of MFC, and being witness to God's love. Take charge of social situations. Do not leave it to the wives. Kung host po tayo ng isang party or gathering, tayong mga lalaki po ang mag-lead ng prayer at maging proactive sa nasabing party. Yun po, we take the lead. Be the spiritual protector. Intercession, spiritual warfare, blessing. Sa prayer for healing po ng mga kasama natin, may sakit, tayo po ang mag-lead. Mga lalaki din po ang mag-lead. Tandaan po natin na the prayer of a righteous person has great power. Yan po ang sabi ni St. James, si San Santiago. Malapit na po tayo. Dalawang subpart na lang po. Various sources of support and strength for the heavy responsibility. Sino po yung susuporta sa atin? Siyempre, unang-una na, the Lord Himself. Ano po ang sabi niya? Sa Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30, ang sabi niya, come to me, all you are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Come to me and I will give you rest. Di ba kanta yon? Kanta ni Basil Valdez. So, the Lord is our ultimate source of strength. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the source of all wisdom. When we feel weary and find life burdensome, we can turn to Jesus. Yun po. Numero 1 po yan, si Jesus. We turn to Jesus. Pangalawa pong help natin, ang household leader. Ako po, pwede lumapit sa akin yung mga kasamahan ko sa aming household. The Lord anoints His leaders. You can have this confidence. Turn to your household leader or other MFC leaders. Yun po. If need be, for guidance and direction. Be open and eager for input. And then, ano pa po? Siyempre, yung pong household leader, ako po yun, pwede rin kayong umakyat sa amin po. In our case, Father Bener, siguro po kasama ako through channels, pataas po. And then, your brothers in MFC, yung pong kasamahan natin, yun po. Kaya lang po, para mas epektibo, we have to be faithful to our weekly household meetings. Kasi, paano tayo makakalapit kung palagi tayong absent? Siyempre, ang prerequisite doon, kailangan we have to be faithful. We have to attend our regular household meetings or prayer meetings. Look for opportunities to be with your brothers outside of the regular MFC activities. So yun na po yung fellowship. Magkasama kayo manood ng sine, magkwentuhan. Ayun. Ayun, ito na po yung last part. Conclusion. Lapit na po tayo. I'll just read my conclusion. Christian marriage and family life is a great calling for us men. Let us be grateful for this great privilege and take steps to live out fully our role as Christian husbands. A husband relates to his wife as Christ to his church. A father cares for his children as a priest ministers to the people of God. Yun lang po. So, as a parting word po, pabaon, gusto ko pong i-quote yung sinabi ni Ruby Lee Orgain, the CTA founder, an American. Ang sabi po niya, life is a voyage in which we choose neither vessel or weather. But much can be done in the management of the sails and the guidance of the helm. Ayun po, mga kapatid, sa ating paglalakbay, gawin po nating ugit o timon at layag or sail ang ating Panginoon Diyos. At sigurado tayo, lahat ng problema ay ating mariresolba at lahat ng tempest, lahat ng unos ay ating malalampasan. Maraming salamat po. God be the glory.